So I've been selling on eBay for 5 years, but if I was to go back and speak to my beginner self and give them some advice on how to start eBay the right way, this is what I would say. Lesson number one. Richard Branson once famously said that successful people start before they feel ready. And I think that's really it. It's having the courage to feel the fear and do it anyway that kind of separates the successful people from the rest of the pack. And I think what a lot of people get wrong when they feel the fear and do it anyway when it comes to starting eBay is they'll create an account and then they'll list up the items straight away, but they have got nothing set up on the back end of their eBay business. And that's what you've got to do. The first step is to start, but then you've got to start correctly. You've got to create the accounts. You've got to go ahead and set yourself up with a business bank account. You've got to go and grab all of your postage supplies that you're going to need when you do eventually sell an item. You might need to go and grab a trestle table like the one that I've got here and some box lights and have yourself set up to create that first winning listing. These are all the things that a lot of us just put by the wayside, and we go ahead and we focus on the fun stuff like sourcing and potentially getting our sale with our first listing. But it's the successful sellers that start the right way. And we've got our eBay Launch Lab 12-week program starting on January 5, and that's exactly what we teach. We teach you how to set it up correctly and then how to get started the right way. So go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below. Lesson number two, adopt the 80-20 rule. What it refers to is that the 20% of the work that you do actually generates 80% of the results that you're looking for. Now, what do I mean by that in the sense of eBay? What is the 20% of the work that gets us 80% of the results? Well, for me, it comes down to just two elements. It's just listing items and then shipping items when they go on to sell. So I've developed non-negotiables in my day. I actually have 3 non-negotiables to help me run my eBay business in the most efficient way possible. And one of them has got absolutely nothing to do with eBay. And I literally will make sure that I list up $500 every single day into my eBay store. For me to project to get to the numbers that I want to get to, I know that I need to list $500 worth of value into my store every single day without question. So that's the first thing. The second daily non-negotiable is that I must ship off every single item that goes on to sell in that day. Before I go to sleep, I want them shipped up, ready to go, straight off to the post office. And the third thing, my third non-negotiable, is some form of exercise, because that just motivates me and keeps keeping me fresh to keep working on my eBay business when I might get drained. If I go for a run or I go to the gym, I feel so much better about myself and I've got so much more instant energy to be able to keep working away. It's the thing that works for me, and it allows those 2 other non-negotiables to happen every single time. So develop some non-negotiables for you, but also too, realize that listing items and shipping items off are the 80% of the work that gets, or I should say the 20% of the work that gets the 80% of the results. Lesson number 3, you don't realize it, but eBay holds onto your money when you first start selling on eBay. They're basically just trying to test to make sure that you're a reputable seller and you're not going to go ahead and do anything dodgy or become a scammer in any way. So they're trying to make sure that the process of the fulfillment of the order definitely takes place before they'll go ahead and issue you with your payouts. And that can often take up to 3 weeks. And when people first start selling on eBay, they don't realize that. And they may have started to sell on eBay because they really need the money for maybe some upcoming bills. But you've got to look at it like it is just a bit of a savings plan. You do have all of that money accessible to you. It's just a 3-week wait until things start to speed up. Now, over time, as you start to make more sales, you are going to get instant payouts to the point where you're getting them pretty much every single day coming into your account. So that definitely does happen, but it's always quite annoying if you're not aware of it before you start selling on eBay because of the initial delay. But there's really good justification as to why they do it. I don't think there's a problem with it, and I think it's a little bit easier to manage if you go into eBay knowing that's the way it's going to play out. Lesson number 4. It's important for you to not stress the refunds and the returns that are naturally just going to come into your eBay business. It's just part and parcel of doing retail, whether it be online or in a brick and mortar store. The process of dealing with this is common, totally fine, and reasonable to accept. Especially when we're first starting out too. We may list up an item that was incorrectly positioned, and we do get a return case that gets opened up to say that they want to return the item back to us. That is totally fine. You're actually not going to be hurt in the eyes of eBay because eBay knows that this happens all the time, and it is just a natural part of selling. So for me, I've only got 1% of my products that go on to sell issue a return case where they have to send the item back to me. So 1 out of every 100 sales I'm having to deal with this. a lot of us put more of a stress around this element of eBay before we even get started. We're in fear of the return or the refund that might come through, or basically an unhappy customer, and what that could mean for us as sellers. But you've got to understand, this is all a natural part of selling on eBay, and you really, truly just must not fear it. Lesson number 5. Jeff Bezos, the guy that created Amazon, he has been famous for saying that he obsesses over the customer. He says it's the single most important thing when it comes to building his business. Now, look, I think with eBay, we are perfectly positioned to be able to have that same mindset, because eBay gives us so many tools to be able to position our listing in favor of the customer enjoying what they're seeing. But all too often we don't do that. You know, we won't promote our listings because we don't want to give up more fees to eBay. We won't put returns on because we're just fearing what will happen there with scammers trying to attack us. We're not thinking about the customer when we create our listings, especially not when we first start selling on eBay. But that is the unlock. Eventually you will start to think about the customer. You will put promoted listings on for yourself to get more promotion and show more customers what you've got to sell, but you'll offer free shipping because that is a customer-centric setup of the way that you go about your shipping process. You're not out of pocket with free shipping, but it's positioning it like it's a benefit to the customer. You're going to offer seller pays returns. So returns is on, but you as the seller will also pay for it if they want to return it back to you. Like I said, it only happens 1% of the time. So you can absolutely go ahead and do that because the customer would want to see that. Same day shipping and handling, or 1 day shipping and handling. Like I said, my non-negotiable. I make sure that I ship the items off the second they sell. A customer would want that. So we've really got to be thinking like that from day one, because if you start to think like that from day one, your sales are actually going to pick up and you're going to get more sales in the first couple of months of selling on eBay than you would if you just didn't otherwise. So it's a huge step. Think like Jeff Bezos and think about your customer. Lesson number 6, you must be promoting your listings. I didn't know about this for the first 18 months of selling on eBay. I actually just didn't even know that the promoted listing option was even there. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it, I just didn't know about it. And then I was talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, what do you promote your listings at? And I said, what the hell is that? And then I started to do 3% and it completely changed my business. I just wish I'd done that right from the start. I promote and have promoted for the last 3 to 4 years, every single one of my items blanketed at a 3% promoted listing rate. When we look at the eBay data on my sales over any length of time, 70 to 80 odd % of my sales are coming from that extra 3% worth of promoted listing. That amount of revenue is substantial for me to continue to keep doing that, because I wouldn't have an eBay business without it. It's just too great of a result and too much revenue for me to forego that 3% to try and put more money in my pocket on every single sale. So make sure you're promoting your listings. 2 to 3% is simply all you need, but it has a dramatic effect on the sales that you get on eBay. Lesson number 7, the products that you choose to sell on eBay is going to be the single most important aspect towards your success as an eBay seller. Nothing else matters. Product is king. So a lot of your time in the early stages is all going to be based around product knowledge. You're going to have to learn what to sell, why it sells, and how much it sells for. Those 3 elements are going to make up product selection, and that will simply determine whether or not you have success selling on eBay. Look at this for an example. If I've got this right here, a set of coasters, what will sell better on eBay? This set of coasters or this Pokemon Mega Revolutions booster box that could potentially have a $1,000 card sitting in one of those packs? You're going to get a whole lot more money and you're going to get a whole lot more interest on those Pokemon cards than the coasters. Now, that's just one very broad example of something that's very cheap versus something that's very expensive and desirable. But all of the information is available to you on the eBay app. And you can filter out your eBay search results in a certain way that shows you exactly how well it sells and how much it sells for, and also the time frame that it sells in. I won't go into that in this video today, but there is a PDF that I've created that you guys can access. Link is in the description below for it. It's a free sourcing guide, and it will step you through how to break down so that you can find that winning product every single time. Lesson number 8, it gets easier. It gets easier, guys. When I first started, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. The number of hours that I would spend thinking that eBay was going to be my thing long term, and I just had to get through that learning stage. I spent way too long and I spun my wheels like crazy. It's why I created the eBay Launch Lab, because I was just so inundated with things that I needed to learn that I felt so overwhelmed when I first started selling on eBay. 5 years now later, it's a piece of cake. I know exactly what I'm doing, I'm in autopilot, and things don't take any length of time to be able to achieve. Certainly not the time that it took anyway when I first started out 5 years ago. So just understand that first 3 months, that first 90 days of you selling on eBay, you may be enjoying the thrill and the fun of getting your first couple of items come through, but you might be thinking to yourself on the back end, geez, this is a lot of work. Well, trust me, it gets easier. The work lessens, the results going up and increase, and life does get a whole lot easier. So just stick with it and you'll be able to get to the good stuff later on. Lesson number 9. You've really got to be tracking your finances from day one. And when we spoke about that first lesson, Richard Branson saying that you need to obviously just make a start. That's the biggest thing that you can do. You are ready to go. You've got to be creating these things like a spreadsheet or using things like Flipped-It, a really cool financial software that we've developed whereby you can just simply input your eBay store data, you put in a few other bits and pieces, and it gives you your profit for your business. Having that from day one and literally tracking the finances of how profitable your business is from the get-go is going to save so many headaches for 5 years down the track when you've literally not kept track of any of your results and you're only going off revenue figures that you're seeing on eBay. That's not going to build a eBay business for you. You've got to be much more refined and much more, I guess, really intricate to the details. And Flipped-It, I think, is a great way to go about it because you don't have to work out how to build a spreadsheet. It's already built for you through Flipped-It. Lesson number 10. I think it's a really important thing here to source small items kind of only in the beginning. I've made a video on the channel that you can go and check out. I'll link it into the description for you. It's 20 or 30 items that are very small that pack a punch profitably. You can still make some really good money and they're just a less of a headache when it comes to shipping off the items because when you're first starting out, you don't have the benefits of shipping discounts. You also don't have the benefit of knowing how to properly ship off an item. And a lot of us as beginner sellers, we get to be very in our heads about the process of how to do our shipping correctly. So if you've got a very small item, like a coaster, for instance, if we just had to ship that off, that is going to be so much easier than a PlayStation 2 console that's a whole lot more bigger, bulkier, and heavier. It's going to cost us more, there's more chance of it breaking, but with a small item like that, with a bunch of bubble wrap, put it into a satchel, so much less headache. So there are a ton of winning products when it comes to selling small items on eBay. I think it's a perfect place to start as a beginner seller. And like I said, that video is linked in the description below. Lesson number 11. One of the biggest rules that I had for myself when I first started selling was just because it was cheap, I should go ahead and buy it. But now it's just because it's cheap doesn't mean I should go ahead and buy it. I actually get way more excited now when I see a price tag in an op shop of $50 or $100 on a product because I instantly think to myself, does it sell for $300, $400, $500 on eBay? And often at times it actually does. Op shops will often, or thrift stores like we call them around the world, they'll see an item that is worth $150 to $200 on eBay and they can't put it up for $3 in a thrift store, but they can $50, put a markup on it, and it's still profitable for us. If we buy something for $50 and sell it for $200 on eBay, we're gonna make about $100 in profit. That is so much better than buying a $2 item and trying to sell it for $25 that's gonna take us 6 months to sell, versus a really desirable product that we buy for $50, but we know through doing the research and using the eProfit calculator to work out our profitability, we know the full scenario of the item and we go ahead and we buy it with confidence. So it's just education and knowledge that is holding you back from being able to commit to these larger purchases. But the quicker you can learn it and do it from day one, if possible, you're going to have so much more profitability and so much more success and enjoyment and money making because you're just buying better items. So just because it's cheap does not mean that you should buy it. Lesson number 13. It is so exciting to go out and thrift. We all love to do it. Flea markets, garage sales, whatever the case may be. Your friends and family that have said they've got some Lego in the back cupboard. It's, oh, how cool, let's go and get this. This is going to be money in our pocket. When you go and do that, I need you to be armed with the eProfit calculator and that eBay app. I need you to know how to filter your filters to make sure that you're seeing the correct data that you need to see so that you can make educational purchases on these deals that you're seeing. Now, a very easy thing that I like to work towards with an item is I like to 3 times the investment. So if I'm buying it for 50, like we spoke about before, I'm trying to see on eBay if it sells for 150. but I can't see if it sells for $150 if I don't have my filters set up correctly. So that sourcing guide, that PDF that I was talking to you about before, that is going to be crucial to make sure that you get the filtering done correctly. So many beginner sellers don't do it, so many experienced sellers don't do it, and they've got no true understanding about how well this item is actually going to go on eBay. So just make sure you're doing your research before you buy every item. Lesson number 14. This is absolutely for the beginner out there, because a lot of experienced sellers, or those sellers that have been selling on eBay for any length of time, they'll start to quickly realize that going with auction as a format on eBay isn't going to get you the best price possible for your item. Typically speaking, every now and again you're going to get a Hail Mary item that gets a bit of a trend on an auction and too many people want it and it becomes a bidding war and it sells for a fantastic price point, but your run-of-the-mill product on an auction format is always going to go undervalued. So you really want to be making sure that you're doing the buy it now for every single one of your listings, and you're also offering best offer, because a lot of my sales, about 50% of my sales, are going to come through negotiation. So have that in your head that you may be needing to take a 5 to 10% cut on whatever that buy it now price is. So, you know, a $60 item, I usually end up to sell for about $50 because I accept the best offer. So you've got to be aware of that, but get away from the auction format and just always think buy it now. Lesson number 15. Like I was saying before about the returns and the refunds and the daunted, I guess, thoughts that we have around that whole process, we've really got to understand that most of the buyers on eBay are actually good people. Like, they're not out there to scam us. There are initially, when you're first starting out, that worrying idea that because you're new, the scammers are going to target you. But don't think that every single person that comes across one of your items is a scammer. I think a lot of us are on high alert when we're first starting out on eBay, because we see so many videos here on YouTube about people talking about scams to be on the lookout for. But it doesn't happen as much as you think. It's not as scary as you think. And they're also very noticeable when they do happen. And you need to kind of go down the path of dealing with the scammer before you actually get burnt by the scammer. So when you're catching it right away and going, hold on a minute, this just looks fishy in general. I don't need to be an experienced seller to know that this looks fishy. You can very quickly end the conversation or end the process of fulfilling the order, with that scammer. So just assume that everyone is good until something appears fishy, because there are a lot of good buyers out there. Lesson number 16. This is a big one for me that took me a while to adjust to, because I'm very impatient and I just focus on the 20% of the tasks that get the 80% of the results, and I really just focus on that only. But one of the other elements that I spend a lot more time focusing on nowadays as well is responding to messages like instantly fast, because it has a dramatic effect on the algorithm generating you more sales. I didn't realize this, but if you're just simply replying to a message in a quick time frame, eBay's eyes just light up. Their algorithm loves you replying to a customer service message. So just make sure that you do that. When you see a message come through, jump onto it. Because I never used to. I always used to build up a bit of a bank of messages, and I kind of attended to it once a week and skipped a few that I never even replied to. But if I'd known back then that algorithmically, that is a huge green light for the algorithm to keep pushing your items out to more customers, I would have replied a whole lot earlier. Lesson number 17. eBay, like business in general, is a marathon, not a sprint. This is gonna take some time, and having the expectations when you first start selling on eBay that you are gonna need a long runway. When I first started, I said to myself, I'm gonna give myself 3 years. I'm gonna literally close my eyes, work incredibly hard for 3 years, and just see what I can learn in that time frame, and see what the numbers look like for me to want to go ahead and keep persisting with eBay. Turns out that when you do something for 3 years and you treat it like a marathon and not a sprint, you're in a pretty good position by the end of the 3 years. Now, if you're going in with eBay or with the opposite mindset that things just need to happen now, well, chances are they won't happen now, because, well, they generally don't. And you're going to end up quitting because you didn't have that expectation meet reality. So just have a larger runway. Give yourself time to breathe, relax, understand that you're in a learning phase and things do just unfortunately take more time in the beginning. And giving yourself that grace will allow you to persist for longer, and the results generally come down the line. Lesson number 18. This is a massive one, guys. This one for me was something that I have truly been working on every single day in my eBay business for the last 2 to 3 years. I had 2,600 items in my eBay store as a part-time seller, earning part-time eBay money 2.5 years ago. And then I realized to myself, hold on, eBay is all about a monetary value per day. Remember how I said my non-negotiable was $500 per day? I didn't look at it anymore from a quantity of stock every single day. I looked at it more on a monetary value, and I increased my average sale price to where it sits to about $60 per item. Every single sale that I get is around about a $60 product. I spoke about before about spending money, a little bit more money to get a better in-demand product. 2 years ago it was a $20 average sale price. Now it's a $60 average sale price, and I'm selling less, but I'm getting more revenue because the average sale price is higher. So really what I'm trying to say here is having a big store with a ton of active listings isn't the way to go about it. You can build a really highly functional, profitable store with 200, 300, 400 items. You don't really need to go past that if you're just trying to do that as a part-time side hustle sort of a job. If you wanted to do this more full-time, you would need 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 active listings to have enough volume to be able to sell at a full-timer's wage. But you can make fantastic money, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in profit on a 200 active item store if it's being run efficiently. So just be aware of that. It's not all about quantity, it's more about quality. Lesson number 19. A lot of people get frustrated with lowball offers, but you've got to understand lowball offers have actually had to do a lot of work to get in front of you as a lowball offer. As a first-time seller, if you're just starting out and you're complaining that somebody is offering you any amount of money for your product, you've got to stop complaining, because they've had to get an impression, they've had to then click on that listing, they've had to look at it and want it to some degree, and then they've had to send you off a notification with a monetary value that they're willing to pay for the item. Now, that whole process that eBay has gone ahead and done for you, to simply hit decline out of anger, that's not the way to grow. You want to build motivation through sales. So anything that you can get in that first 3 months of selling on eBay that is a profitable outcome for you, my advice would be to accept the offer. Don't accept the lowball, those horrendous lowball offers. Always counter them to the point that you're willing to accept. But just understand that when you do accept a sale, that breeds so much motivation for you to want to go ahead and list up the next item and get your next sale. So don't keep shooting for the highest value possible and then getting angry when these best offers come in that are lowball. Just understand that there is a lot of good work that's been done to get to that point, and you just need to nurture it a little bit closer to where you want it to be. Lesson number 20. This is one that I'm helping my Launch Lab people with a lot, and what happens is they're getting these item not received cases, these glooming, oh my god, I don't know what to do scenarios. And when you've got eBay in your back pocket as almost like an insurance policy, they can always step in as a third party and pay the seller on your behalf. This is what a lot of people don't get. This is a huge tip that I want you guys to know about. So when you leave a tracking number on the item after you sell it, you're kind of hands off. You've done everything that you can do. You've sent it to the correct address and you've put a tracking number on it. Now, your postal provider may have stuffed up. They may have not got the item to the buyer, or they have and the person's trying to scam you. But if your tracking number shows delivery to the correct address, eBay will side with you every single day of the week, and I will always go ahead when the item not received case opens up, and I will reiterate the tracking number, let eBay step in, and then eBay will always side in my favor and go ahead and issue the refund to the seller on eBay's behalf. eBay wear the money. So don't go ahead and issue these refunds when they come in out of your own pocket. Just go through the process, let the case run its course, and eBay is always going to be on your side. So look, I know that starting eBay is a daunting process, but just hold true to the Richard Branson mindset that you can simply get started where you're at right now. That eBay Launch Lab, it kicks off on January 5. There's always another cohort starting, so feel free to check out those below details. But I'll leave you with this video right here, because it's exactly like this video. It's more tips that are going to help you if you're first starting out with your eBay journey. Good luck. We'll see you over there for that one.